Study with Artemis, Inc. podcast. This information was produced with the assistance of AI-generated content. Key characteristics of sacred texts. Welcome to an exploration of the profound and often surprising facets of human history, culture, and belief. We're diving deep into a topic that has shaped civilizations and individual lives for millennia. Sacred texts. These aren't just old books, they are living documents, imbued with immense power and meaning. What's truly fascinating is how understanding them often requires us to bridge disciplines, particularly the seemingly disparate worlds of science and linguistics. Join us as we unpack the key characteristics that define these revered writings and explore the intricate dance between their scientific implications and their linguistic structures. The enduring pillars, defining characteristics of sacred texts. So, what makes a text sacred? It's more than just age or popularity. Across the globe, from the Vedas to the Bible, the Quran to the Tripitaka, these foundational writings share a set of core attributes that elevate them above ordinary literature and imbue them with their sacred status. It is these very similarities, despite their diverse origins, that underscore their universal significance. First and foremost, we have their divine or inspired origin. This is the bedrock of their sacredness. For believers, these texts are not merely human creations but are understood to be either directly revealed by a divine entity or divinely inspired, guiding human authors. This belief imbues the text with unparalleled authority and truth. It's seen not simply as human wisdom or historical record, but as truth originating from a higher, infallible source. This divine connection is precisely what gives these texts their immense power, their claim to ultimate truth, and their enduring relevance for their adherents, setting them apart from all other forms of literature. Iliade, M. The Sacred and the Profane, The Nature of Religion. 1959. Secondly, sacred texts serve as profound sources of moral and ethical guidance. They are universally regarded as blueprints for living, providing comprehensive frameworks for ethical conduct, personal virtue, and societal harmony. Think of the Ten Commandments, Exodus 20 verses 1 to 17, the Eightfold Path, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, or the ethical teachings found within the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verses 47 to 50. These texts lay out moral codes, ethical principles, and societal norms that guide individual behavior, shape communal values, and often form the very foundation of legal and social structures within a religious community. Their sacredness derives from their perceived ability to offer a perfect, divinely sanctioned pathway to righteousness and a just life, transcending human fallibility in moral reasoning. Smart, N. The World's Religions. 1989. Our third characteristic is their ritual and liturgical function. Sacred texts are rarely just read silently. Their sacredness is often reinforced through their active use in religious practice. They are chanted, recited, sung, and meditated upon as integral parts of religious rituals, ceremonies, and worship. The rhythmic recitation of prayers, the communal reading of scriptures in a synagogue or church, the chanting of mantras, these are all ways in which the text becomes a living, breathing part of religious practice. This active engagement transforms the text from mere words on a page into a direct conduit for spiritual connection and communal experience, making it a central, active component of devotion. Durkheim, A. The Elementary Forms of Religious Life. 1912. Next, sacred texts are crucial for community formation and identity. They are the shared narratives that bind people together, providing a common history, a collective memory, and a unified set of beliefs that define who a religious community is. Consider how the Torah defines Jewish identity, or how the Gospels shape Christian communities, or the foundational role of the Quran for the global Muslim Ummah. These texts are the threads that weave together the fabric of a shared spiritual family, creating a sense of belonging, collective purpose, and a distinct identity that often spans generations and geographical boundaries. Their sacredness is deeply intertwined with their role as the communal anchor and source of shared meaning. Anderson, B. Imagined Communities, Reflections on the Origin and Spread of Nationalism. 1983. Fifth, many traditions attribute transcendence and immutability to their sacred texts. They are often seen as timeless, unchanging, and containing eternal truths that transcend the fleeting trends of human culture or the limitations of time. While interpretations may evolve and adapt to new contexts, the core message and the text itself are often regarded as fixed, divinely preserved, and universally applicable, offering a constant anchor in a changing world. This perception of eternal relevance and unchangeable truth contributes significantly to their sacred status, positioning them as sources of ultimate, enduring wisdom. Otto R. The Idea of the Holy. 1917. And finally, sacred texts are rich with symbolic and allegorical layers. They are rarely meant to be read purely literally. Beyond their surface meaning, they often contain deep symbolic narratives, parables, and allegories that invite continuous study, contemplation, and reinterpretation across generations. Think of the parables of Jesus, e.g., Matthew 13, the allegories in Sufi poetry, e.g., Rumi's Masnavi, or the layered meanings in ancient myths. This multi-layered nature ensures their continued relevance, encourages ongoing engagement from scholars and adherents alike, and allows them to speak to diverse human experiences across different eras, solidifying their profound and sacred depth. Fry, N. The Great Code, the Bible and Literature. 1982. These 6 characteristics collectively paint a picture of texts that are far more than historical artifacts. They are dynamic, authoritative, and deeply intertwined with the spiritual and communal lives of billions, forming the very essence of their sacredness. The language of the divine, linguistics as a gateway to deeper understanding. Now, let's shift our focus to how we can truly unlock the profound depths of these texts, and here, linguistics becomes an indispensable tool. It's not just about what the words say, but how they say it. The first and perhaps most critical point is the original language preservation. The importance of studying sacred texts in their original tongues, whether it's Hebrew for the Old Testament, Aramaic for parts of the Bible, Koine Greek for the New Testament, Sanskrit for Hindu scriptures, or Classical Arabic for the Quran, cannot be overstated. Translations, no matter how skilled, inevitably lose nuances, wordplays, etymologies, and grammatical structures that carry profound theological and philosophical weight. For instance, a single Hebrew word might have multiple layers of meaning that a single English equivalent simply cannot capture. To truly grasp the richness, one must engage with the language as it was originally conceived. Barr, J. The Semantics of Biblical Language. 1961. Secondly, sacred texts are masterworks of rhetorical devices and poetic structure. They are not dry legal documents. They frequently employ sophisticated literary techniques. Think of the intricate parallelism found in the Psalms, e.g., Psalm 23, where lines mirror each other to amplify meaning, or the epic narrative arcs in texts like the Indian Mahabharata, which weave complex stories with profound philosophical dialogues. Linguistic analysis helps us uncover how these structures convey meaning, evoke emotion, and reinforce core messages. Understanding the poetic meter, the use of chiasmus, or the intentional repetition of phrases reveals the artistry and deliberate construction behind these texts. Alter, R. The Art of Biblical Poetry. 1985. Furthermore, linguistics allows us to map semantic fields and conceptual frameworks. By analyzing how words are used in relation to each other, we can understand the interconnectedness of concepts within a text and the unique conceptual frameworks of different traditions. This can illuminate how abstract ideas like justice, love, truth, or salvation are understood and articulated within a specific religious context. For example, the concept of righteousness in Hebrew scriptures carries a different semantic weight than a direct English translation might imply, encompassing aspects of right relationship and covenant faithfulness. Liu, J. P. and Nida, E. A. Greek-English Lexicon of the New Testament based on semantic domains. 1988. And finally, the evolution of language and interpretation is a fascinating area. The study of historical linguistics can trace how the language of sacred texts has changed over millennia, and crucially, how these linguistic shifts might have influenced subsequent interpretations and commentaries. Words acquire new meanings, grammatical rules shift, and pronunciation changes, all of which can subtly, or sometimes dramatically, alter how a text is understood by later generations. This helps us appreciate the dynamic nature of tradition and interpretation. Metzger, B. M. and Ehrman, B. D. The Text of the New Testament, Its Transmission, Corruption, and Restoration. 2005. Linguistics, then, isn't just about grammar. It's about unlocking the very soul of the text, appreciating its artistry, and understanding its deepest layers of meaning as intended by its original context. Bridging the divide. Science as a complement, not just an adversary. For too long, the relationship between science and sacred texts has been framed as an inherent conflict, a battle between reason and faith. However, this exploration suggests a more nuanced and often complementary relationship. Science, in its various forms, can offer unique insights, not necessarily to prove or disprove divine claims, but to enrich our understanding of the texts and their historical context. Consider ancient cosmologies and scientific observation. Many sacred texts contain descriptions of the natural world and cosmological models that reflect the scientific understanding, or perhaps more accurately, the observational limitations of their time. While these are certainly not scientific treatises in the modern sense, these passages offer invaluable insights into ancient observations and attempts to explain phenomena. For example, descriptions of the firmament or the origins of life in ancient texts, though allegorical and theological, can be analyzed in light of what was known about astronomy or biology in those ancient cultures. They tell us about the human quest for understanding the universe, even if their methods differed from ours. Livingstone, D.N. Darwin's Forgotten Defenders, The Encounter Between Evangelical Theology and Evolutionary Thought. 1987. Then there's the concept of metaphorical science. Some interpretations argue that certain passages, while not literal scientific statements, cleverly use scientific metaphors or analogies to convey spiritual truths. Understanding the scientific context, even if rudimentary, of the time in which the text was written can help us decipher these metaphors. For instance, a text might describe a natural process in a way that resonates with contemporary understanding, but its ultimate purpose is to illustrate a divine attribute or a spiritual lesson. McGrath, A. E., Science and Religion, A New Introduction. 2010. Crucially, archaeological and historical sciences provide external validation and context. Fields like archaeology, anthropology, and historical linguistics offer concrete data that can corroborate details about the historical and cultural settings depicted in sacred texts. Archaeological findings can confirm the existence of ancient cities, trade routes, or customs mentioned in biblical narratives, for example. This doesn't necessarily affirm the divine claims of the text, but it certainly enriches our understanding of its historical grounding and cultural milieu. It helps us place the text firmly within its human context. Finkelstein, I. and Silberman, N. A. The Bible Unearthed, Archaeology's New Vision of Ancient Israel and the Origin of its Sacred Texts. 2001. We can even talk about the science of interpretation, or hermeneutics. The very act of interpreting sacred texts can be viewed as a form of science, a systematic methodology involving critical analysis, contextual understanding, and logical reasoning to extract meaning. This science of interpretation often incorporates rigorous linguistic and historical methods, striving for objectivity and thoroughness in understanding. It's a structured approach to grappling with complex meaning. Gadamer, H. G. Truth and Method. 1960. And finally, an emerging field, the neuroscience of spiritual experience, offers a fascinating modern perspective. While not directly analyzing the texts themselves, this field explores the brain's activity during spiritual experiences, which are often mediated by engagement with sacred texts, prayer, or meditation. It offers a scientific lens on the human response to these texts, exploring the physiological and psychological dimensions of faith and devotion. Newberg, A. and Waldman, M. R. How God Changes Your Brain. Breakthrough Findings from a Leading Neuroscientist. 2009. Conclusion. As we wrap up this exploration, it becomes clear that sacred texts are far more than static relics of the past. They are dynamic, multi-layered documents that continue to inspire, guide, and challenge humanity. By applying the rigorous methodologies of linguistics, we can appreciate their intricate artistry and unlock their deepest semantic meanings. And by recognizing the historical, metaphorical, and contextual relationship with scientific understanding, we can move beyond simplistic conflicts and gain a richer, more holistic appreciation of their enduring power and complexity. They are, indeed, rich tapestries woven with threads of divine inspiration, ethical guidance, and communal identity, waiting for us to explore them with both reverence and intellectual curiosity. Copyright 2025. References: Alter, R. 1985. The Art of Biblical Poetry. Basic Books. Anderson, B. 1983. Imagined Communities, Reflections on the Origin and Spread of Nationalism. Verso. Barr, J. 1961. The Semantics of Biblical Language. Oxford University Press. Durkheim, A. 1912. The Elementary Forms of Religious Life. George Allen and Unwin. Eliade, M. 1959. The Sacred and the Profane, The Nature of Religion. Harcourt Brace Jovanovich. Finkelstein, I. and Silberman, N. A. 2001. The Bible Unearthed, Archaeology's New Vision of Ancient Israel and the Origin of its Sacred Texts. Free Press. Fry, N. 1982. The Great Code, The Bible and Literature. Harcourt Brace Jovanovich. Gadamer, H. G. 1960. Truth and Method. Crossroad. Livingstone, D. N. 1987. Darwin's Forgotten Defenders, The Encounter Between Evangelical Theology and Evolutionary Thought. Eerdmans. Liu, J. P., and Nida, E. A. 1988. Greek-English Lexicon of the New Testament based on semantic domains. United Bible Societies. McGrath, A. E. 2010. Science and Religion, A New Introduction. Wiley Blackwell. Metzger, B. M. and Ehrman, B. D. 2005. The Text of the New Testament, Its Transmission, Corruption, and Restoration. Oxford University Press. Newberg, A. and Waldman, M. R. 2009. How God Changes Your Brain. Breakthrough Findings from a Leading Neuroscientist. Ballantine Books. Otto, R. 1917. The Idea of the Holy. Oxford University Press. Smart, N. 1989. The World's Religions. Prentice Hall.